Good morning to you. Welcome to Everyday Money Matches on Lagos Talks 91.3 FM. It's the show that lets you delve into the beautiful world of money. And as always, I am not alone. I have the money team here joining me via Zoom. Hello, Ugodre. Can you hear me?
Yes, loud and clear, Mr. Adu. How you doing?
Good.
Love the jacket, by the way.
Sorry?
Love that jacket. I love that jacket, by the way.
I'm trying to be like you. Good to have you here today. And today's particular show. Okay, I can see Loretta too. Hi, Loretta. How you doing?
Hi, good morning. How
Good
you
morning.
doing?
So the whole team is around, and we are available to take your questions as always. Make sure you join the conversation. Twitter at Lagos Talks 913, and WhatsApp is 0809-234-5913. However, today's edition of the show is slightly different because we have an august visitor in December, isn't it? Her name is Ashim Egunjobi. She is the country head for Nigeria at Elevate, and the head of business development for Africa at Tech Experts, a global IT services and solutions provider with a footprint in 7 countries. Ashim is a strong advocate for equal opportunities and building a diverse workforce. She's an entrepreneur herself and also co-founded several local and not-for-profit organizations dedicated to supporting women, children, and young adults in Africa. Ladies and gentlemen, we do have Ashim Egunjobi here with us. Hello, Ashim. How you doing?
Good morning, Adu. Glad
Good
to be
morning.
here. I'm doing great.
Good to have you here. Okay, so we have a full house today, and because Ashim is joining us, we're gonna mix it up a little bit. So we'll take some of your questions and get to interact with her a little bit for her to share some of her expertise. Particularly, we're looking at some of the economic status quo that is currently in Nigeria, particularly the concept of recession, and we're coming out of recession. 2021 is like the year where we're going to rebound, and all that conversation that's been going on in the news. So Ashim will help set perspective to that, and we'll get to have a conversation with her. But first, Ugodre, there are people who have bombarded us with questions, so maybe I'll just ask you one real quick, and then we'll go over and talk to Ashim. Is that okay? So this person says, good morning, sir or madam. Says, hope you're doing good. Says, please, I have some savings I made from work, which I want to invest invest to help me for my future, to be my own boss and to own my own business. Said the goal is to retire at 45. Says, I am 37 now. Please, I need your advice to help me, achieve that objective.
All right, Lagos, welcome to the show. Before I answer that question, good to have Ashim on the show as well. Ashim, great to have you. We're going to be talking, the world of, digital, economy, right? So we all know with the kind of world we're in. We're in a world that is shaped by how digital we are and how, as a country, we are embracing, digital economy, digital identity, in growing our GDP. So to dig ourselves out of the recession, we've got to do a lot, work around the tech space. So Ashim is going to be talking to us about this. And of course, digital economy has got a lot to do with your personal finance as well. So a lot of us work from home. We're actually doing this show, remotely. But any part of this world, you can actually join in and be part of the show. So it's all part of the digital economy, and that's what it really is. So to that good question, I don't know. I just think I should give Ashim a chance to respond to this question. How would you respond to this question? What do you think, Ashim?
So It's a great question. Look, when you have savings across board, it's always important to understand what your own personal goals are, right? And how risk averse or, how your risk appetite is. If you've got a high risk appetite, very easy for you to, use those savings to invest, for instance, in equities and the stock market. If you're a little bit more risk averse, you can always look at, more things like fixed assets or mutual funds where you know that you have a little bit more security, especially if you're a novice to investing. You may not want to dabble in it yourself. However, I will say that there's great apps out there these days. Again, it's all digital, where you can actually invest with your Naira and play in the global economy and be able to reap some of those, benefits of investing from here globally using digital tools.
Correct. I mean, you should be part of the show. My God, that was that was an apt response. So, well, I mean, what I picked from the question though was that you're 38. Is that what he said?
37.
37, yeah. You want to retire at 45, so you've got like 7 years. Oh, come on, man. You should have started this earlier on, but never too late to start. I think Ashim basically has responded. I think that's what you should look at. What's your risk appetite? And the younger you are, the higher risk you want to take investing, right? Because it's when you're older that you take less risk. So, 37 is still quite young, so you should, consider taking, a lot of risk. I don't know how much you've been able to save, but what I often tell people is that if you're thinking of saving for retirement, you got to ask yourself one good question. How much do you want to be spending every month when you're retired? Do you want to spend 500,000 every month, 200,000 every month, 1 million every month? That basically determines how much you need to save now, right? So that you can start to get that returns then. So if you want to save, if you want to be making 500,000 every month to retirement, then it means you've got to have 6 million naira per annum. And if you think you're going to be retired, for like 20 years, right, before, you go to heaven. So that's like 6 billion times 20 years, right? So that's like the way the math works. And then you start to determine the kind of investments that you need to have to keep that kind of money. So that's how it works. But like Ashim said, just look at risk. I think the higher the risk, the higher the return, and that's what you should be looking at here.
Thank you, Ugodre. Now, since Ashim is joining us today, I would just go straight to asking a couple of questions. The ICT is projected to drive Nigeria's economy in the coming years. And Nigeria still has a few players in this space or in the sector. Ashim, how is this growth in terms of ICT expected to suffice in terms of the economy in the coming years?
Thanks, Adu. It's a great question. So actually, the ICT sector certainly is going to be a huge contributor to the Nigerian economy. There's studies out there that project the ICT sector alone to contribute almost $9 billion to the economy in the next 3-4 years. If you think about that, that really can be a huge driver. It's funny, we always say that we have few players in this field, in this market, in Nigeria or on the continent, but actually, I would contradict that notion and say that we actually do have quite a number of players. We have a lot of the very established big companies here. We have the company, two of the companies I work for, one being a digital education academy, and the other one being, a leading ICT services provider. But in addition to that, you've pretty got a lot of the giants working out of Nigeria as well. You've got Microsoft Office represented here. You have Oracle, you have Google, you have IBM here. So you actually have a lot of the really big names represented in Nigeria. But interestingly, in addition to that, we've got a lot of great minds here, and we have a lot of really great startups or entrepreneurs who have been incredibly successful. Just look at the Paystack story where, there has been an incredible investment into that company now. And that's just one of the many success stories.
Oh, that's brilliant.
I think in addition to that, it's really important. Yeah, just in addition to that, it's really important to highlight also that you were asking, where's that growth going to come from? Certainly, one of the things that we need to start looking at is how skilled is our public, how skilled is our youth, how skilled is our workforce to be able to be competitive in the digital landscape globally. So if we talk about ABCDs of digital transformation, we talk about AI, blockchain, we talk about cloud, we talk about data. Who knows about it? How skilled are they in it? At what level of the, path of the career path are they? And are we equipping our organizations with the right talent? Are we investing into skilling that talent so that they can be global players for us in our organizations?
Right. Right. Very important that you mentioned the ABCDs there. And how can the Nigerian labor force, considering that you talked about skill set, how can the Nigerian labor force, the government, and even the MDAs prepare, that is to upskill their workforce and the labor market for the imminent digital requirements that is needed to attain the projected growth in the Nigerian economy, which we will definitely need in the near future, actually now?
Actually, now you
yes, now.
you
Not
hit it
the future, now.
We do need it now. Actually, we would have needed it yesterday, but it's never too late. And that is the good thing about it. Now, I will say that COVID-19 has been the great accelerator for a lot of these digital transformations. A lot of companies that have been very traditional have been forced to pivot and to think outside the box, including our governments. This has been a great eye-opener for everybody to realize that, wow, you know what? We actually have a gap. We have a skills gap. What do we need to do? Where do we need to invest? A lot of companies still feel very kind of shy because they're not really sure how to go about this re-strategizing and this pivoting. So this is where, for instance, companies like Elevate Education come and play. We do digital maturity assessments for enterprise customers and say, you know what, we can look at where your digital skills are. We can tailor where your gaps are, and then we can design a strategy as to how skill your workforce. And the same goes for governments, right? We work with governments on skilling initiatives to really identify, well, what is that 10, 20-year goal, right? How many people are you looking to have skilled in what technologies? We talk about the ABCDs, but it's really important to start understanding what it means. Why is AI important for the economy? What does it do for me as an organization? How can I secure my data better? We're talking about cybersecurity and all of these kind of elements. And it's really important that we have our own talent that has that kind of IP and that we invest in that, because otherwise what will happen is that we will continue to rely on external parties, whether those come from China or they come from the US or South Africa, to help us in our transformation journeys. And we really must be self-reliant. It is the only way that our talent in Nigeria will be able to be competitive. If you think about it, Rwanda, 80% of schools in Rwanda are equipped with computer systems. 80%, right? So think about the kids going through primary school, secondary school, into university. In 20 years, these guys are digital natives. We need to think about, how are our kids in Nigeria going to be? Will they be digital natives? Will they be competitive? So we really need to invest there.
Wow, that is very, very profound. That means 8 in 10 Rwandans is definitely going to be computer literate anytime soon.
Absolutely. And I must say that Lagos State, for instance, actually has really started investing in that. I'm sure everybody that lives in Lagos at least has seen those colorful cables, on the sidewalks, on the pavement, streets being opened. It may look like a nuisance, but this is really part of that kind of smarter city Lagos concept. How do we make sure that we have the right infrastructure, right? Fiber optics, broadband running through the city to actually make sure that not only is the talent equipped and skilled, but our infrastructure is in fact then also ready to propel this growth for us.
Brilliant, Ashim. Thank you for that. So let me dive back to some of the questions that we get regularly from the listeners here. This one is from Chimeze Inaemeka. Sorry, I mispronounced your name. It says, please help instruct me on what basis to follow and steps to abide with for a good financial fortune? Loretta, do you want to answer that?
Yeah, as much as I want to give an amazing answer, that is a very big question. But since we're talking about the digital economy, let me just tie that in a little bit. So if you want a good financial fortune, obviously there are a lot of ways to do that. And right now, I think the best way is in leveraging the opportunities that you can find. And clearly the digital space is, it is one way you can make money from the comfort of your homes without having to do, or without having to face a lot of our traditional, systems and traditional challenges. So yeah, as much as I want to give you a more detailed answer, I would say save, invest, and look out for good opportunities to invest. Yeah.
And just to chime in on that, I think Ashim kind of mentioned it as well. For a lot of people, this digital transformation age that we talk about is actually you being empowered, to earn for yourself, to earn a living, or to basically define your future. So in this digital enabled world, you can be in Nigeria and you're offering a service for someone in Rwanda, or you're offering a service for someone in India or Russia or anywhere. It all depends on how unique your talent is and what you're able to do technologically wise. And the interesting thing is that you actually don't even need to be technologically savvy to be able to work anywhere in the world. All you need to do is just have the gadgets and just have that access to the internet. So for a lot of people, especially those who are looking for multiple sources of income, technology is just one of those tools that you can use. And I think that it's going to be relevant, not just now, but in the future to come. You can do your regular 9 to 5, and then when you're back from home, you switch on, because at that time it's probably afternoon in another part of the world, and then you're keen and you're offering that service. You've got websites like Freelancer, Upwork that you can go to and just register, and then it's either you're probably editing one article for someone, or you're helping somebody with a project, or maybe you're very good at analysis, or doing a voiceover. I mean, it's just amazing the kind of things that you can do in a digitally enabled world. So for a lot of guys that are listening, I think that's really what you've got to really seize now. Like, seize that opportunity. Don't see the digital world as something that's created for nerds. It's not always for nerds. Someone like with a fancy jacket like I do can't be making a lot of money, all right?
Yeah, but kind of like a sub question, since Ashim is here, in relation to this. So for example, like a couple of years back, like 5 years ago, I was working from Nigeria for a Pakistani company. I met this person on Fiverr and he started giving me jobs. But what I'm particular about is how jobs like that. So I feel like a lot of the digital economy is unstructured. So I can get a job, I can get money, and I don't know how much of that feeds into the economy as a whole in Nigeria, because I'm not necessarily I'm definitely not paying taxes on that to anybody. So aside it's empowering me financially, I don't know how that ties to helping, the GDP and all of that work, because the money isn't going back to government. So what do you think? How do you think we can get that to a point where we have, instead of having multiple individuals in the digital space, we have multiple pay stacks, for example, where the government can now extract value from it?
Loretta, I think this is such a great question. And there is a key word that you used, which was unstructured. So I would say that actually it's not necessarily the digital space that is unstructured. It may just be our landscape that is unstructured. Now, there's a lot of initiatives that are actually being put in place to help structure that, right? So if you think about things like BVN that are going to be able to give the government a view of all your income streams across all your accounts domiciled in country. And if you don't pay taxes on any of those incomes, then at some point it will be flagged, right? Just like it should be in any other country, in any other economy in the world. Freelancers should or ought to pay tax, right? In most countries in the world, freelancers do pay tax. They pay income tax. They take care of their own health insurance. They do take care of their pension payments. So actually it does feed back into the economy. But I also want to highlight that apart from paying taxes, which of course is revenue generation for the government, there's a lot of other indirect influencers into the economy and the GDP by, people who are working as freelancers and taking jobs from, wherever else in the world, Australia, Japan, or whatever. Because if you think about it, if I have, X more Naira in my wallet today, I am able to contribute to the economy. I am able to pay school fees for myself, for my children. I am able to purchase items. My disposable income is, immediately going up. So that means that I can actually spread that income. I'm paying VAT on those things. So actually, it's a ripple effect, I think. And we do, of course, in, the developing world need to get better with regards to the structure around, freelancers, the structure around how do we track taxes for these people? But, that is a big conversation for the regulators that I'm sure they are thinking about. Of course, it's important that we don't crack down on it and say, okay, no more of that, because it just simply means that we won't be competitive as a country. We have to nurture it. We have to educate people, and our systems just simply have to be better. So and this is where the digital, economy comes in, because, we can build these platforms, we can build that infrastructure, we can ensure that our data has integrity using all of these incredible tools and platforms that are out there.
Ashim, let me just piggyback on that concept of infrastructure. Now, there are factors such as inflation, access to credit facilities, exchange rates, ease of doing business, as well as cost of doing business. These are factors that all play into this idea of structures. How do these factors, what considerations do you think we need to give to them? And how does it affect the projected growth that, ICT and digital space can give to us?
That is a big question. Probably best for an economist to answer, but I will attempt to dissect some of it and give you my thoughts. Now, certainly those kind of external factors have a huge influence on any type of business that you want to run, whether it is a digital business, whether it's a technology business, or any other business. Arguably, most businesses today are in fact related to technology, right? Because even if you're selling something online, think about it, you have a little, fashion brand, you're using the digital landscape, right? You're on Instagram, pitching your items to customers and all of that. But certainly, ease of doing business, cost of doing business in a lot of countries, especially a country like Nigeria, are much higher than in some of our counterparts, which oftentimes means that we're less competitive. However, we have a couple of advantages as well. One of our advantages is the talent in Nigeria. We have an incredible mass of talent here. I think it's unarguable that, there is an abundance of incredibly driven, motivated people. However, as, investors, as nonprofit organizations, as government, and as the private sector, we heavily need to invest in skilling this talent, because they may come with a skill set, right? So I may hire a data analyst. So he's already got a skill set, but I want to make sure that he is as competitive as somebody sitting out of Scandinavia or out of, Kuala Lumpur, so that my company, my government, my country can be as competitive. That will be the only way that in the end of the day, we can get out of that, terrible cycle of recession and, all of those kind of things. Of course, we need to diversify the economy. The digital or the ICT sector is a really great way to diversify because it takes us away from, being as dependent on, FX income from oil or wherever. It makes us be able to be much more competitive. Again, I bring the most recent example of Paystack, $200 million. Hey, if we can have more of these sort of companies that attract that type of investment, if we can make sure that our ease of doing business in Nigeria is high, and that investors and entrepreneurs feel comfortable to actually domicile their companies here, to domicile their funds here without the fear of devaluation or, kind of having less in the bank the next day than the day before, then we can really, really change the landscape.
Wow, Ashim, that was very eye-opening. Time sometimes feels like it's never enough, which is actually never enough, and for these kind of conversations. I do hope you join us sometime soon.
I would be happy to anytime.
Yay! Thank you for coming in. Ugodre, any final words or final thoughts before we wrap up, right?
Yeah, I mean, I see that we had a lot of participants online today as well. Just to say hello to everyone. Thanks for joining in. We had to bring Ashim online as well, just to give us an insight into what's happening at the end of this week. I think there's an event happening this week, so Ashim is also going, just before we go, just going to give details to anyone who wants to attend that event. We live in a digital world. Nairametrics is digital enabled. We're a digital first company as well. So we really, do support initiatives like this. So that's why we have Ashim online. And as usual, we're always here to take your questions across any social media channel, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, anywhere you want to ask your questions. Nairametrics is there. So Ashim, maybe you just want to close it. What do we expect to see this week?
Yeah, absolutely. Actually, it kicks off today. We have at 11 a.m. today an incredible masterclass on digital transformation. The masterclass is being led by an international, kind of expert in those ABCDs of technology that I was talking about, Sabine van der Linden. She will be joining us and be, hosting this masterclass where she really dissects everything. She talks about global trends. She talks about how other companies are doing it. So you can register for this event on elevate.com/Nigeria20. And please join us for it. Tomorrow, we then have one more conversation, which is going to, I promise, going to be absolutely mind-blowing, where we have industry giants joining us, such as Dr. Omobala Johnson. We have Ian Olua Aboyeji. We have representatives from Lagos State, from Microsoft. So it's going to be a great panel discussion, everything digitally, of course. Again, you can register on it, elevate.com/Nigeria. Elevate is ELEV figure 8.com, and then the /Nigeria20. So please join us on social media, #Elevate, and we'd be really, really happy to have you there.
All right. Thank you for joining us today, Ashim, as well as Loretta and Ugodre. We do really have to go now. Do enjoy the rest of your day, and make sure you tune in again same time next week for another edition of Everyday Money Matters. From me and all of the lovely panelists and Ashim, it's enjoy the rest of your day. Bye.
All right. Bye-bye. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.